Trigger warning. This episode may contain content that could be distressing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to New Earth Studios. Love Now by Alex Roseman. We are here in the heart of the wilderness of Dubai. From our beautiful New Earth Cafe, the Conscious Eatery, where we'll be bringing you conscious conversations with our very next guest. Please do your best to click the subscription button so you can see us evolve and grow and ultimately show up in a community near you. Thank you. And then this kind of pops up, this space, you know, this open space.
This is great. I love this.
You know,
this is fantastic.
But it also helps when there's no facade. You're not coming into a studio where you feel like you have to put some persona on or something. You can be here and be natural.
I think authenticity sells better these days anyway.
And when you're in an authentic space where somebody just had a coffee and cake your...
I do that like
earlier.
now when if my son comes in and I'm recording, I just say hi to him, or my wife will hand me a cup of coffee. I'll do it on camera because it's just so much more real, you know, because it just is, you know.
Well, so real, you don't even know we just started or not, do you, really? Dan, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here, man.
You as well.
Meeting you for the first time. So a mutual friend got in touch and said to hang out and make this happen.
Samir, yes, she's great. She's great.
How do you know her?
Well, I worked with her years ago. She bought one of my programs and came to one of my events, and I worked with her on her business, and her and my wife hit it off, and just kind of went from there. And so we chat every once in a while. And she was here when I got here in Dubai, and so it just made sense to link up.
Okay, that's awesome. See how authentic it is.
Yeah. Hey, I'm down.
This is our new Earth water.
Thank you so much.
So this is restructured water, so it's alive. Maybe you'd know about Kangen machines and things like that.
I would love to be educated on it.
Yeah, it's a Japanese certified medical device. They use it in hospitals to help with recovery.
Oh.
So
it's not pee, right?
Well, only the good kind.
I was waiting for you to be like, it's pee.
Yum, yum, yum. So it brings it back to life. So the molecular structure of the water is smaller, so it goes into the cells, and it does all these things. I mean, look, we mainly drink water. We wonder where all our health concerns come from. But if you're not drinking the right water, that's where a lot of the issues can stem from.
Oh, sure.
Rewind back into your... so that's how you met Samira and...
Yes, it's odd because, some of the people that I've worked with, because obviously I help people grow businesses. And so, when you become friends, right? Why do you become friends? You become friends because you share some sort of common bond. You're interested in something together that grows.
Yeah.
And so most of my friends have either been, I've done either business with them or I've talked about business with them. Because that's what I love. I love business. I love, which to me, the way I view business is creation. Oh, wow, that looks amazing.
Thank you, man.
Like, what do we, at least in my space, I'm a creator. It just happens to be that I monetize those creations in a business. But in reality, I'm a creator. And when you are around other creators, whether they're musicians, whether they're entrepreneurs, speakers, authors, you bond over that. And so that's who most of my friends are.
I noticed that. It's what you value, and you have similar values to other people. Yes. I mean, the people in my sphere are the ones who I work with. I mean, the people who work in our home are usually my friends. It's because they're around. And anybody else that's not within the field of what I do, if they're not meeting the same values, it's not that they're not valuable, but we're just not aligned anymore. Yeah. Old friends, you kind of, if you're going out the old days, they're friends. But when that shifts, absolutely, they're not the kind of people you hang out with anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got to stay around who supports the vision for your life because you only get so much time on this earth. And I think people don't value their time. I really, truly believe that human beings, their biggest fault is they don't value time, which to me is the most... valuable asset ever.
Yeah.
Some people say it's gold or platinum, right? Why? Because it's rare.
Yeah.
Well, that's how human beings gauge value. Is it rare? If it's abundant, then like a glass of water is whatever, right? There's so much of it. But gold or platinum is worth a lot. But see, to me, that's not the most valuable thing. I mean, if if somebody said, hey, well, I'll wire you $1 million, just take it, you'd say yes. But if they said you can't wake up tomorrow, would you take it?
Absolutely not. But it's all relative, isn't it? Like that glass of water is like, it's everywhere. But if you're in a desert and somebody comes with a glass of water and goes, suddenly the value shoots right up, you know?
That is very true.
So, thank you, Einstein. But the fact is, our time is absolutely a valuable commodity, and also our attention. Mm-hmm. Because that is ultimately what all these businesses are built on. You're a business guy, that is to draw people's attention. But I have this saying, what is their intention with your attention?
What is their intention?
Attention with your attention. Because once they have you ordered your coffee?
Oh, I did not.
Evan? What would you like?
A coffee with some hot unsweetened almond milk.
We don't have almond? Oh, yes. And I'll tell you why we don't do the almond.
Okay.
After, but you please.
Is it because it kills the bees?
My man, he knows.
Yeah, I know a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, hot macadamia milk. Mm-hmm. As long as it doesn't have sugar.
No sugar.
Okay, great, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Latte?
Cappuccino. Whatever. I trust you.
All right. He's the guy. He's the guy. Not only is our cameraman, but he's also our barista.
Awesome.
Multifaceted team.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bees. Something about California. When I heard that information, I thought, it's quite odd to not have almond milk because of that. But why not? Yeah. We're listening, bees. We're doing our best.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, I think that everybody in some way, if you're doing something worthwhile in some fashion or another, you're doing something to save the world. Because you're either giving or you're taking. Right? You're protecting or you're breaking down. And I think that, to me, passing on knowledge is the single most important thing we can do because it trickles down into everything. I mean, if all of a sudden we stop teaching doctors how to treat people and the next generation didn't know, they would have massive consequences. And if you go back even to the ancient Egyptians, they're writing stuff down. So I think that at its pure source, discovering and passing on knowledge is the core that solves every problem. Because we only have 80, 90 years on this earth. We got to pass the knowledge down. So that's why, I'm more into like the thinking and the philosophy ends of things.
I absolutely agree with you that, we need to pass this information. But there's also, I've been, Dr. John Demartini?
I don't.
Okay, so I've been doing a bit of a deep dive recently, and he shared, say, looking at all the different philosophers and information, how that's carried on, that this information that we're fearful that is not carried on, but on the bigger scale, sort of the evolution of how we are understanding ourselves is actually getting passed down within our genome. That is actually in our cells from 4 billion years ago. So, like, information, they're saying, is stored in light. That's how it passes on, even if we become extinct, that information carries on, because that is its involvement, is evolution. So it finds its way, even if we don't write it down, that it's going to show up, because that is what we're here to do, pass down information. Now, we think from our cells that we must do it, but it's already happening on a scale that is beyond our comprehension. Right. As well as the cloud that we have created for ourselves that will last for the end of time, probably. So it's quite interesting as we, having a level of understanding that it seems to open, like a flower, just keeps opening and opening, where we are now to what our consciousness will expand to in a year's time. It shocks us because we think we know something, and then suddenly we get a bit of information, we realize we don't know anything, and it's like, my goodness, how deep does this thing go?
That's learning.
Yeah, that is.
That is the essence of learning.
Yeah, and you know what it is? When you feel like you're learning, doesn't it feel like you know it already? Like as Socrates says, learning is just remembering.
Yes, there was a book written called Steal Like an Artist.
I just ordered that book today.
Yeah, and in that book, basically the author talks about the idea that there is no new information. There is no new ideas. Everything that has been thought of or said has already been said. And all we are doing is, as you said, rediscovering old ideas, or simply finding a way to articulate them in a different or better way. But they're really the same ideas. Like, we're done with innovation. It's more remembering. So I definitely agree with that.
Well, Dan, you say this is what you do. You grow people's businesses. It would be a real shame if people were listening to this going, okay, well, Share. What is it? What is the golden nuggets or something like this? For example, we've got the New Earth Cafe.
Sure.
You know, if you would say, Alex, here to grow a business, what would you suggest for anybody who might be listening?
Well, I'd love to just dive into yours then.
Okay.
So this is a cafe. You sell coffee and food. Who's your ideal customer? Like, who's the person you want in this cafe?
You know what? Me and my wife built it for us. So people like us. We live in Albury, probably one of the most sought-out communities in the world right now. And people are coming here. Wow. Nice.
Very good.
Happy to hear that.
Very good.
Raw coffee. They're the guys. And the reason we work with Raw is because they know the farmers, they help them through difficult times, and they have a close relationship with them. And they make it here, and yeah.
Wow.
You can have as much coffee as you want, my man.
I might take you up on that. That's good. That's good. Wow. Is that lean? Is there a lot of calories in that macadamia milk?
No, no, it shouldn't be much
tastes
calories.
So good, though.
Yeah. Well, this is what I'm talking about. Everything here, without sugar, it just seems to have a magic to it. There's an energy here that things just seem to taste better.
I don't
like
know.
even avocado toast, it's simple, but it just tastes magical, man. I mean, I might have it after this podcast. So I'm glad. Yep. That's a first-rate review right there. You can't get more authentic.
So you want to attract people who are into like the plant-based life and all that. So the first question I would ask is, here in Dubai, is there a percentage of the population that's into that?
Yes, it's a growing population. Now, maybe not so much for the locals, but most of the people who live in Dubai, as we know, are expats. The issue is in the summertime, everybody leaves. So in communities like this, there's nobody here. We're kind of barely hanging on. But this is not just a cafe. This is a concept. It's a philosophy. My wife and I started something called the New Earth a few years ago. And we just had the idea of New Earth, and we just sort of left it to the universe. And suddenly this opportunity showed up, a cafe. And then we were looking to... it wasn't an idea. We just suddenly went, okay, let's call it New Earth Cafe. And what does that mean? And the chakras and things just come to us. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have a cafe. Now it's turned into the New Earth Studios. Okay. It's multifaceted. And we have a store down there called Self-Love. So we're all under the umbrella of New Earth. What does that mean? Transcending human consciousness, but anchoring it in the 3D world.
So my approach to growing a business, and the approach that I know of everybody who's very successful, and when I say very successful, making a lot of money. And the reason I say that is because the purpose of a business is to make money. You have charities, you have causes, and those are to further philosophies and ideals. But the purpose of the business is to turn a profit. Now, with that, you can do things like share philosophies and do good and change the world. But if the business can't produce, well, you can't do that, and therefore it's irrelevant. Yeah. So the first thing is very simple. How to start and grow a business that makes money. You pick a problem that people have, you solve the problem. If there's no problem, if it's just an idea and it sounds cool, it's doomed to fail. So the first question I would ask you is, what problem do you solve?
Well, first of all, here in this community, there was no cafe. Okay. So there was nowhere for the community.
There's no coffee shop. If somebody wants to go and have a coffee.
There was one place called Third Wave that closed down, I think, since we opened. Mm-hmm. But it was at the back. The energy was dense. It wasn't a place where the community would come together. And my wife and I, it'd be great. There's a whole community here. But
is the community growing?
The community is definitely growing.
Okay.
Marissa Pierre, as I just said, has just moved here. People from different calibers, I think, what's his name? The Hollywood star.
So it has now, is it growing in the direction of your target market?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, even more so.
Because this place is fully built out. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
What would you say your biggest problem with growing and making more money with this cafe is right now?
Well, you know what it is? I guess it's the capacity, because in the mornings and early afternoons and lunchtime, it's busy.
Okay.
And then late afternoon, we're doing a podcast and nobody's here.
But that's
which
somewhat
is
normal.
So I'm utilizing the space to at least do this right now. And then evening, it's not really an evening dinner place. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. So
do you serve things that people would want to eat for dinner?
Yes, we put some evening dinners, ramen noodles and things like this, different types of foods that they could have. But I am looking to start something where we have somebody who comes in who might want to do like a weekly event and have a couple of people doing separate weekly events here. So they bring people and they can start building something up because we have the space and the community's here. They want to learn. So we do workshops. So we throw down workshops as well.
So people that drink this type of coffee and engage in this type of thing, what is something, it's what I call a perpetual problem. It's a problem that they need solved continuously. Like, for instance, weight loss. Nobody just gets jacked and then stops. You have to continuously do it. So what is a perpetual thing that people try to solve, talk about, or engage in your market that they just are always talking about?
You know what? For what feedback we get and why people come here, it's the quality and it's the care. And the fact that now there's somewhere to go. Because in our brewery, there was nowhere to go.
But what do those people talk about? And what do they do? What do they like?
They're like coaches. They're people who are, I mean, we have people here who are have a social following of like 8 to 10 million who just live above.
Oh, okay.
You know, this is like an influencer's paradise. Like people who are made it in their countries, they come here.
Okay, so here's an idea.
Yeah.
I know that market because I am that market, right?
Yeah.
What would make me come? Let's say you did it on Thursdays, Fridays, whatever. What would make me come here every single Thursday or Friday or whatever it is if you had for instance, let's say Thursday was an Instagram growth mastermind, and you came in and on Thursdays, everybody here shared ideas on how they're growing their Instagram and passed around knowledge. Obviously, while buying your coffee, your amazing coffee.
That's awesome, Dan. That's awesome.
And then on another day, maybe YouTube. We're all discussing YouTube, okay? And then on another day, you'd have people here every night. Heck, I'd be here.
I was going to say, why don't you lead something here?
I could. I'm moving here.
Well,
I won't.
This is your people here. People here in Alberari
good coffee
are your people.
And online influencers and business people. Yeah, that's my people.
Yeah, this is your gaff, man. Yeah. This is your place. I mean, we've got the community table here. We've got everything rocking and rolling. Yeah. I mean, we have the community groups. We just say, hey, look, this is what's going on, and they understand it, and it goes out. Yeah.
But see, what you're doing here is you're not actually having to create the content. You're not actually having to create the event. The customers themselves are the event.
Exactly.
They're the product producing for you, and they're obviously drinking and eating while you're here.
Exactly. So we're serving the community by showing them, hey, we've got value. And this is what we created this cafe for. We wanted to add value to the community. And we wanted people like yourself, people in the community, to come on the podcast so everybody can learn about each other and their expertise. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a slow burner. You know, people are a bit, because it's new, they're a bit hesitant. Do we not? And I get it. It's a matter of time when these things seem to take off.
You can make it go fast.
Well, if you can, you know, awesome. It'd be awesome. But you know what?
You just need a good pitch. Everything's a good pitch. It's like, hey, are you an influencer? Do you have an Instagram, a YouTube channel, some sort of online business? And that's why you're here in Dubai. You decided to move to the epicenter of influencers and online business owners. But here's the thing. Who do you have to talk to about this? Now, look, normally if you want to learn to grow your Instagram, grow your YouTube, grow your business, you got to spend $20, $30, $40, $50,000 on some sort of mastermind where maybe you get the right attention, maybe you don't. And are you really learning the real stuff, or are they just packaging something up and selling it to you? Well, here at New Earth Cafe, every Thursday we have an Instagram mastermind, and guess how much it costs? It is absolutely free. We have a bunch of people here who come who their goal is to grow on Instagram and to build their following, and we all sit here and exchange ideas. And so we're saving you literally $50,000. We'd love it if you enjoyed some of our fantastic coffee, but we're all gonna go around the room and help each other grow. I want you to think for a moment, one single conversation, one thing that somebody's doing that you just simply didn't know could explode your Instagram. And that conversation happens every Thursday. Oh, and by the way, do you want to grow your YouTube? Guess what? Every Friday, there's a YouTube mastermind. And every Monday, there is a Twitter mastermind. Okay? And look, if you're not careful, you'll spend every day here at the New Earth Cafe. But our inaugural event is this Thursday at blah, 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 Instagram, you know, at this time, whatever. And then to really kick it off, you could get like a special guest, somebody who has a really big Instagram following. We have so-and-so here who has 500,000 followers and does extremely well in their business. Most of their sales come from Instagram. They're going to be here sharing, and then we're all going to go around the room and share. There is zero... people would fly here for that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mate, you are a smooth operator.
I mean,
especially with the accent as well. I mean,
the
it's
name
like,
of my company is getclients.com, so I definitely chose the right brand. You know, I'm fascinated by the idea of getting people to give you money to enrich their lives. You know, like I love it, and I geek out on it constantly. So, but yeah, that's what I would do if I were you.
Mate, I'm going to speak to our CEO and say, you got to hear this guy and what you just said. Absolutely. I mean, I can't disagree with that, because this is something that the community is already doing, and actually having a space to talk about it.
Yeah.
When are you moving here?
So, if I didn't already have previous commitments, I would be here now. I would just stay. My wife is like, "Can you please stay?" But I'm holding an event in Vegas, and I'm on some pretty big podcasts out there, like Ryan Pineda and Social Digital Hour.
Wow.
And I chartered a friggin' plane to go out there, so I can't. I'm not losing my deposit on that. And then a few weeks after that, I'm speaking at Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson's event. I'm doing a pitch at their event. So that's about 2 months.
Yep.
But that gives me time to sort my affairs and whatnot. I'm already looking at real estate. I already got approved for a Sharia-compliant mortgage.
Okay, you're ready to rock. Where are you thinking of moving to?
I need to be either Marina, Palm, something like that.
Have you not looked at the villas here?
You know, I've considered that. Because I know you can get a much better deal, more space.
Well, they've got new roads getting built as well. So you can go straight to Jumeirah within like 10, 12 minutes.
It's 10, 12 minutes to the beach.
Yeah. They're building a new road.
Really?
Yeah, straight through, cutting right across.
See, this is interesting because you can't trust the realtors here. I'm just going to be honest. I've never met more full of shit people in my life than the realtors in Dubai. Okay.
Not you, Adam. Don't worry.
Yeah. So I'd rather talk to somebody like you. See, nobody's told me that.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh no, you don't want to live out where the villas are because it's so hard to get there. And that makes sense because I have a lot of friends that I've already made in the Palm area. And if somebody says, hey, I want to go out for coffee, I want to be able to just be there.
Exactly.
You know, I want to be able to go have coffee, or if I want to go work on the beach for an hour, I want to be able to do that. And so out here is like 30, 40 minutes.
They're building a lagoon just around the corner. Okay. So you can have your feel of being on the beach just here.
But you're saying that they're going to build a new road.
They're building a new road to cut right across. So that will speed up the time from here to Jumeirah.
But from 40 minutes to 10?
Yeah, something like around 15 minutes. That's what they're telling us. Yeah. So they're cutting it down. So this value will
When's that going to be
more. They said it was going to be last year. Now we're in this year. Potentially next year. You know how these things go.
Yeah,
but
that's everywhere.
They told us, right? And but this is what I mean. Looking at the place here, and there's a few other communities close to
open.
here.
I might. I looked at something at the Palm, which was very expensive for what you get, small and expensive. And then I was also looking beachfront, marina. The apartments here though are incredibly small. Incredibly small.
Seventh Heaven?
I'm not sure, but an apartment in the United States is like 3 times the size of what it is here. For like.
Are you talking about apartments or maybe a villa?
I would do a villa. I would do.
Look, there's new developments happening right now. I mean, look, I've got contacts, so I can put you in touch.
Okay.
I mean, some of them are agents.
I need somebody who's not gonna, because these realtors, like, they're on like some sort of amphetamine, and they're just like, I'm like, hey, I want this many square feet. And yeah, great. Let me show you this other thing. And I'm like, focus.
Over here, salivating. Yeah. I hear you, man. Because throw a dog a bone. You know what? I guess it comes down to how you want to live your life, right? Your lifestyle. What does that look like? And if down there suits what you're looking for.
I like walking. I like being able to walk, scoot.
I feel like tempted to kind of just walk you around the community after this, because the walk around where we are, we've got waterfalls, we've got fountains, and it's a nice walk.
I'm
community here, man, it's growing and expanding. Idris Elba, that's his name, who's just moved here.
Oh, yeah, from Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all these kind of like characters are starting to come over here, you know? So, and you got the sheikhs and everything. So it's very safe here. And it's, at the end of the day, like Marissa's husband would say, you know, Al Barari isn't far from when you live in Al Barari. So when you're in Al Barari, it's not far from anything because you're already here. And for me, I very rarely leave Al Barari. I walk from my house, come to the cafe, do this, go back, do my writing.
I'm from Florida.
Well, there you go.
I've grew up with beach access my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, even poor people have access to the beach in Florida. like it's, you know, and I grew up poor most of my life. So I'm used to being able to go to the beach.
Well, you know, I can't say, make your decision based on a possible road that may or may not get built. But if business goes so well because you're doing a Thursday night mentoring program here, you can get a helicopter and take you to the beach. How about that as goals?
So we do that in Costa Rica. We take helicopters a lot in Costa Rica. Are they expensive here, cheap here?
You know what? They got these... I just saw something pop up. The helicopters, taxis are going to kick off in 2025. So they'll be a lot cheaper.
Wow. I love this city.
So, you see what I'm saying? It's like, so wherever you think you are, if you save a lot by being here.
One
yeah,
of these?
absolutely.
Dude, this is, I'm not, no, listen. I'm not kidding you. I am a coffee fanatic, and I'm very critical. Like, you will never see me drinking Starbucks. I would rather eat my own face than drink Starbucks, okay? Like I've always said, Starbucks tastes like burnt ass, okay? And I'm very critical of coffee, incredibly critical. This is some of the best coffee I have ever tasted in my entire friggin' life, and I currently live in Costa Rica.
Wow. That's quite something.
I'm actually very impressed.
Thank you very much.
I don't know what you did, but...
A little DMT, whatever, flying around.
I'm thinking about it. Got issues to work out.
My man, when I say it's some of the best coffee in Dubai, I mean, I don't say these words so flippantly.
No, but Dubai, now you got a world.
Like, yeah, it's true.
I've been all around the world, and I drink a lot of coffee. This is really good.
Well, man, if that means enough for you to stay here in this community, then we know we've done our job. Sometimes it can just be a cafe like this can keep people here. We've had people move here and go, you know what, we're here. Like a guy called Max I just bumped into who is like the Tony Robbins in France in business coaching. And he's just moved here and doing well enough to be able to move out here, as you know. And he said, part of the reason we moved here was because of the cafe, because it's somewhere we can go to. Because you're at home. Do you want to travel all the way 20 minutes, half an hour? No, you want to just walk.
Yeah.
Have your coffee, have your breakfast, be with your family, meet new people.
I got out of the cab. I didn't even look around. I don't even know where I'm at. So I'm interested to check it out.
Maybe I'll take you around a little bit after. Irvin, can we get another coffee the same, please?
No, this is...
He said it's the best... It's right
man.
So well done.
Man.
Let's get another one. Rocking and rolling, please.
This is fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to eat the cookie because I eat very lean.
Yep.
But I'm sure that's fantastic.
Yes, it is. See, it does. The only thing that actually has sugar here is coconut sugar. So it's the only thing.
In this?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the only thing. So
I literally eat chicken and egg whites.
Well, there you go, man.
I'm 37, man. My dad looks like Danny DeVito. I have to eat chicken.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Terrible genetics.
Oh,
terrible.
Wow.
People ask me something. They say, "Why are you so in shape? How did you get so in shape? You're jacked. Da 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 da." Especially for being 37. And I'm like, listen, it was not genetics. Like, I have to live a very lean, clean eating lifestyle because my dad I did not get any good genetics from him. I love him, but he looks like the penguin.
Oh, yeah. Bless him. Sounds like my father a little bit, but he does take care of himself, I have to say.
He was in shape when he was younger.
Yeah.
But he would run 10 miles a day, and he would bicycle 50 every other day, and that's why he looked good.
That's a lot, though. That's demanding a lot.
He loved it. He was into it. Yeah.
There you go.
But you see what I'm saying? So even when he looked good, he had to do the same thing. He had to go crazy.
I see what you mean. As in, he had to really put... I think I had the same mentality about myself. There was a certain... I'm going to sort of explore something here about the idea of physical health, because me and my brothers, we grew up, and it was a fighting culture. With Muay Thai and all these type of things.
Oh, nice. I do jiu-jitsu. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for years. Yeah.
Nice, man.
I compete and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Well, not recently, but I have, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
So I did mixed martial arts as well, so BJJ and all these different types of things. So I did that I was in that consciousness at the time of fighting, because I grew up in a household that was fighting. And then in the last year, I stepped out of that idea of having to go to the gym and push myself. Because I was thinking for myself, am I in a place where it's about how I look, or do I want to feel good? Am I about other people, or am I about myself? And I didn't know. I couldn't really discern, because I've been conditioned for so long to think it was about the body and attracting. But I had my wife. What do I need it for? But I didn't want to lose it because I'm into health. I've always been. So I just sort of made a conscious decision. I said, you know what? I'm going to just not go to the gym. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to do yoga. It's like a Cockney guy doing yoga. And so a yoga teacher showed up, and she did a podcast here. Here we go. That was quick.
Wow, man.
And now I just started installing things like a pull-up bar, push-up things. And so my morning routine is...
I'm good on the cookie.
Thanks, dude. So my routine is, I do the yoga because I'm thinking about my spine health. I want my spine to be healthy. Yeah, happy?
Oh, man. It's so good.
That makes me really... Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for making a good... It's hard to make a good cup of coffee. It's hard.
Yeah.
It is.
Now, these guys, the company we use, absolutely, they're from their heart. So we find heart-centered people to attract that just seem to create these...
We think we make good coffee in the United States. There's this little place called Seattle that thinks that they're the best.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Really?
Yeah. This is amazing.
Okay.
Truly.
Happy to hear that, man. You hear that, guys? If Dan's saying that, it's the real deal.
Yeah, I do not compliment people on coffee often.
Okay, that's awesome, man. So, coming down to that. So I just basically changed the whole shebang and feeling the way it is now. I've dropped a lot of weight because we've been doing a lot of healing, let's say. Emotional weight has just dropped off.
Sure.
And now the fasting, like 16 hours between each meal. And I'm thinking to myself, it's sort of an experiment. If I walk past a pull-up bar, I'll do the pull-ups. How do you find the fasting? You know what? It's really shifted my mindset.
It's incredible.
It's like 16 hours. I mean, I've done crazy stuff. I was a fruitarian for like 6 months.
Do you fast water and food or just food?
Just water. So 16 hours. So the last meal to the first meal is just water.
So yeah. So I fast once a year, no water, no food for 16 to 18 hours for 30 days straight. Ramadan.
I see.
Yes, and that's
culturally, or was it? Why do you choose to do that?
I'm Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah, so
all right.
Have
well,
to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the package.
Yeah, part of the package.
Oh, so it's awesome to be moving here. You're right in there.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. My wife, and this is her choice. I'd be fine with just the hijab. She likes to wear the whole thing.
Wow.
The burqa, the niqab.
Okay.
That's how she feels comfortable. In the United States or even in Costa Rica, she is constantly harassed every day by people that come up to her and they go, "Oh my God, are you oppressed? Does he make you wear that? Oh, you're so are you oppressed? Are you okay? Like, it's so sad that you wear that." And it's like every day, every 10 minutes, and she's so annoyed by it. But she takes it as she hands them a Quran and she tries to
educate them.
But when she got here, nobody said that to her, and she's like,
she can just be.
She's like, I want to start running. I want to start going to the gym because she doesn't feel like
an outsider.
That. Yeah, and as soon as I saw that, like, obviously I want to move here because there's entrepreneurs. It's nice. It's efficient. All that. But ultimately, I'm not going to move somewhere my wife is not happy. But when I saw her, I was like, I hope she likes it. I hope she likes it. She looks at me and she's like, Dan, can we never leave this place? I love it here. I feel good here. I feel at home here. We hear the Adhan every day. And she's like, oh my God, I haven't heard the Adhan in so long. So the fact that my wife is happy, and obviously my kid is, over the moon.
Yeah.
That was enough for me,
How old is your child?
5.
Wow.
5.
How's your journey since being married and having a child?
Well, here's a funny story.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably the story that you're looking for because this is an interesting one.
Okay.
My wife and I were married for 5 years, and then we got divorced. Neither of us were Muslim. She's from Turkey, so her, she grew up in a Muslim country, but she wasn't Muslim.
Yeah.
And we were divorced for 4 years. And during that time, one day, she tells me, "Oh, I'm converting to Islam." And me, being an American, trained by the American society, the American machine.
Yep.
First thing I think is, oh my God, this is doomsday. She's going to be teaching my kid all this crazy terrorist stuff. I mean, that's where my mind went.
Of course, if you're conditioned a certain way. Yeah.
Every movie you see where someone says Allah Akbar, they've got an AK-47 in their hands. Of course you're going to think that, And God forbid you say any of that over there. It's like, oh my God, how dare, that's horrible, And so I thought that. Well, then I was like, okay. I was like, think about this for a second. I was going to fight her on it, but also in America, we teach, especially now to children, very odd and weird alternative lifestyles that I just don't agree with. And that's fine if somebody else wants to do those things, but don't push it on me, right? Well, I thought to myself, if I let him become Muslim and I don't fight my wife, lesser of the two evils. So I was like, executive.
Wise man. You must have read the Quran beforehand.
Yeah, not yet. Okay, that was just like a business decision. I was just like, okay,
you check your
risk versus reward, you know. So then when I said I won't fight you on it, I thought, well, I better know about this, right? I got to know what this is in order to, in case something gets out of hand. So of course I start reading the Quran. I start going to the mosque with them to just scope it out. And I had never met such nice people. I started studying their way of life, and I was just like, and it was nothing like what we're taught in America. Nothing. Not even in the, if you were to name it a different religion and you were to put them side by side, you wouldn't even think they were the same. Mm-hmm. Like, it is incredible, okay?
Such misinformation.
I'll give you one specific example. If you ask an American what jihad is, they're going to tell you it means blowing stuff up. Okay, it's not what it means. It means the internal war inside your own head to do the right thing.
The metaphorical.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can't tell an American that, you know, unfortunately. And so I had a lot of problems in my life. I had a lot of issues. After I got divorced, I was a very, like, sort of humble man. And when I got divorced, I went crazy. I bought a yacht. I partied. I was just doing all these things to dopamine. Girls, parties, fun, luxury, right? And I did that for 2 years, and my life was terrible. I was so unfulfilled. I was so sad. And the life, to most men, thought it was dream life. But to me, every night I went to, I would have a girl that I was seeing or dating or whatever, and I'd take her to some nice place.
That might be the girl there, I think, coming in. Like, she can hear you.
Yeah. And I would be in this beautiful place on a yacht or something, and I would just think, gosh, my ex-wife would love this. She deserves to be here, because she worked 3 jobs when we had nothing to support me while I worked on my business.
Wow.
Didn't make money for 6 months. She supported us, and then it blew up, and we did like 6 figures in 1 month.
Wow.
Because it just clicked, and I figured it out. And then I was like, quit your job. She's never worked again. But she was there for me, right? She didn't care about money, you know. And so I always was like, she deserves this. She deserves this. And it ate at me like a cancer, you know. And I was like, what am I doing? And then when I found Islam, and I was like, this is amazing, and I converted, I was just like, hold on a second. I was like, I want my family. Like, that's what I want. I want my family back. I want my wife back. Like, and and then I asked her over the course of a period of time, and because I'm a sales guy, I count. She said no 321 times.
I love that.
And on the 322nd, I believe, she said, okay, let's get remarried.
Man, that is business right there. Persistence.
Persistence pays.
Wow, that's an incredible story.
Yeah, and now she's at the hotel with our son, and now we're moving to Dubai, and and I delivered pizza for 7 years, you know. So imagine to go from that through that whole journey, yachts, Jordan Belforing it out, and then to come back and go like, no, that's not how you live, you know. And then to end up here and just wake up and hear the Adhan, it's
a pinch you moment, right?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Wow. So to go through something like that, because that's quite a rare transition, because you were living the American dream while your wife was converting to Islam, where the American perpetuates this sort of belief that obviously the other side are wrong, and if it's not the American way, then you're the enemy, right? American imperialization.
Unfortunately, that's how it is there.
And I think there's a balance going on. There's a shift of consciousness that people are sort of waking up to it. And what it seems like what resonated with your values is this sense of community, this belongingness. That is something you can share with your wife, like the values. There was
like-minded people.
Yeah, like people who had somebody to hold them accountable. Because when you don't, and you live the American dream, it becomes this, what they say, money without purpose leads to debauchery. Money with purpose leads to philanthropy.
Oh my gosh, it does.
So
it's so right.
And that's what it is. You didn't have a purpose. So, you know, religion, you know, it has its downfalls, of course, like everything does. But it also has a positive in where it can hold people accountable to a force that's bigger than them. And then they understand that, you know, there's cause and effect at play, and, you know, but it's also other like-minded people that you can share your journey with. Yeah. And now you can share it with your wife and actually come to a place like this. This is where it's taken you, that you decided to go, I have to say, to go against your beliefs and the conditioning of the sort of American way. that you went to the extreme and went, no, I'm going to go extreme in this, but you needed to go in the other way?
I mean, look, I don't want to be like bad-mouthing America, but the America now is not the America that I know. The America I know started because you had limited freedom of speech. You had to pay absurd taxes, right? Yeah. Well, what is the America today? Crazy taxes, and they limit your free speech. If you say something, if you say, hey, listen, that's cool for you, but I don't agree with that, oh, you're a horrible person. You deserve to lose your job. You're banned on social media. And, you know, I just, to me, the most American thing to do is the thing that America was founded on, and that's to say, peace, I'm out. You don't, you know, I mean, that is American. That is why we are there. And so this clinging to the sinking ship is, to me, that's anti-American, because you could say, well, why didn't you stay in England? Why didn't you stay in the, you know, because it sucked, and we wanted to start something new.
It's true.
You
it's
know?
coming to that place now, isn't it?
Oh, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
And it feels, Dubai, we describe Dubai sometimes as like the Noah's Ark, where it feels like people are sort of jumping ship onto something else to survive the storm.
There's Qatar.
There are, but it's like, because it's our Dubai, this is our place, right? The UAE, let's say, the Middle East, there is something, because of maybe the faith and the culture, there's a sort of protection, a buffer.
There's kindness
between these ideologies that are coming to the surface, you know, which really is, it feels like, these new ideologies are people's pain manifested, and they're not sure how to communicate it. And then you have leaders who perpetuate it and don't give people sort of clear direction, and so they're not sure where to go. They haven't got that sort of clear leadership. And here there is a sort of clear leadership, the monarchy.
Yeah, it's very and I know that in America we don't like monarchies, but to me, look, man, if you're doing a good job, stay in power. You know?
Yeah, if it works, it works.
If it works, it works. Like, why do we have to, because we get nothing done in the United States. That's how the system is designed. You know, you have two opposing parties who can't agree on anything, so nothing gets done, and it's just, you can't. Well, imagine if you ran a company like that.
It'd be out.
Yeah, a good company has one visionary and then a series of executors or integrators. Okay.
How would you run America if it was a business?
How would I run America if it was a business? Well, the first thing I would do is I would stimulate the economy not through taxation, but I would stimulate it through business. So I would encourage people to engage in trade rather than just take your check. So I'll give you an example, right? There's no tax. Like a lot of people think about Dubai because there's no tax, right? You can run a business here and you're not taxed anywhere near what you're taxed in the United States. So if I am running my business in the United States, I'll give you an example. Remember I told you I bought a yacht. The only reason I bought the yacht was because there was something in the tax code that said you can spend a certain amount of money on this class of vehicle or vessel or whatever, and it's tax-free. So I was either going to take that money and give it to the U.S. government for them to do horrible things with it, or I bought a yacht. I didn't want the yacht. My CPA called me and said, Dan, you either have to buy a plane or a yacht. That's the only way. And I'm like, I like boats. That's why I bought it. So if you think about it, this punishment for being successful, it all causes you to do things you don't want to do with your money that don't. How do I serve anybody by buying a yacht? What am I doing? Like, I'm not creating jobs. I'm not taking that and growing. And what am I doing? And think about this, right? If I had more freedom with my money, okay, then I would be able to do better things that would grow. Because if I'm in America or whatever country I'm in, I want to grow the country. I want to help the country grow. So I'll give you an example. I don't believe billionaires should pay taxes. Now, this is a controversial idea, but I have a reason for it. If you had two friends, and one of them has a history of being terrible with money, overspending, and just not being good with money, and the other friend was very good with money, and they were able to multiply that money, and you had some money you were going to give to one of them, who would you choose?
Of course, the one who can multiply.
The one who can multiply. Well, the U.S. government has the worst track record of spending money. They overspend. They pay like thousands of dollars for a toilet seat. They waste money like crazy. But somebody like Elon Musk buys PayPal, grows
stimulating the economy,
yes, creates jobs,
giving a lot back.
So why are we taking money away from them and giving it to the guy that sucks at money? Why don't we give it to them and we say, so this is how I would run America. I would say, you're a billionaire, guess what? You're not going to pay taxes as long as you're going to pay zero tax, no tax, as long as you do these things, as long as you take your money and you grow it here, or you do it here. As long as you're stimulating the economy, you don't have to pay tax. So many companies go outside of the United States,
of course,
and put their money out. Why? Because they're not treated well in the United States, so of course they're going to leave.
It's very odd, that kind of behavior. Yeah. And I see that in companies. When I used to work, Success Resources? They're the ones who promote Tony Robbins. They're the largest personal development company in the world.
Okay.
And
yes.
So I remember working there, and I felt like it was strange. I wasn't treated as maybe as well as I could have been when I was a sales guy there. And I was bringing a lot in. But it felt like, because I was bringing more in and taking home, they somehow resented that for some reason, like I shouldn't have been. So there's this idea that get rid of the good people and keep the people who are not working so hard because they're not paid as much. So it's like they are shooting themselves in the foot because they're resentful of the fact that these people are successful. Because
very resentful.
People in power want to be seen as powerful. And so if you've got somebody else who's becoming powerful, their interest is not about them being powerful and helping the country. It's about how they makes them feel.
Yeah.
The leaders.
Yeah.
But they're thinking about themselves rather than the community or rather than the country.
We're very bad in America at solving problems. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a friend, his name's Rudy, and he has a company in Costa Rica where he has a sales floor of like 100 people, okay? And this manager came to him and said, these 5 people, they're the worst salespeople. They're the worst. Can we fire them? They're the bottom 5%. And he says to the manager, he says, you don't think you can make them better? And he's like, no, they suck. So Rudy, who's the owner, he says, give me 2 weeks, and I will work with them every single day. And let's see what happens. If they don't improve, then you can fire them. So he works with them every single day. 2 weeks later, they were the top 5% salespeople. The top, not better, the top 5. And he said, if you just spend some time with people, and you give them the attention they need, they will make their own way. So in America, what we do is we say, oh, if you're poor, if you're a certain race, if you live in a certain area, we're just going to give you free money, give you free college. But well, guess what? That doesn't do anything for them.
Course.
They don't learn anything. They're just given money. So what I would do to fix that problem is I would say, you don't get anything. But if you read a book a day, if you don't get in trouble, if you don't get arrested, you get this amazing thing right here.
Incentivize.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Incentivize. And we'll work with you. We'll teach you the skills you need to learn to have a great life. And we'll do it for free, but you got to take advantage of it, and you got to mind your P's and Q's. And now, would that work? I don't know. But that's how I would approach it.
I love that, because what we're talking about is, if you want to communicate to anyone, as you know, it's understanding what their values are. And going, if I know what their values are and I can communicate something that supports their values by doing X, Y, Z, they're more inclined to do it because it supports what they believe in. Yeah. And you also know they know that they feel listened to, because they go, well, I know you know what I value, and so you're communicating to my values. So why wouldn't I want to do X, Y, and Z to support what it is I value? So when you link it, you're able to then really support these people. And I like that idea, incentivize. It does feel like this. This is why we've got the new Earth, because the old Earth is an old way of thinking.
Yeah, I love that.
It's
old Earth, new Earth.
Outdated, and I'm thinking my best way possible that how can we discern? In the book I'm writing at the moment, I call myself the idiot from my old Earth way. Okay.
Because oh my gosh, that is so good. I have this thing I call Minion Dan versus Millionaire Dan, because it's true. There's a difference.
There's a lower self and there's a higher self, and it's actually true in the sense that it's in Greek methodology. The id that sit in the amygdala. So that's the reactive place. We live from our lowest values. We inject other people's values. We're unsure. We're insecure. So when we work from the idiot place, which I've done majority of my life, when you come from that place, we attract these situations that are disastrous. They're just disastrous, right? I used to run a promotion company called Mischief, running all the VIP nightclubs in my early 20s, late teens.
I used to own a nightclub.
You see, you know what I mean? And you're in that kind of like debauchery, now, you see what I'm saying? And now we're building the new earth. So it's like we needed to go into the depths of hell within ourselves.
You do, yeah.
Could then look back at it and go, oi, But the hardest thing, because I was running away from my shame that I hadn't actually embodied yet. I hadn't loved that part of myself yet. And that starts from a very young age, and it follows you around like a bad smell, right? You attract all these situations, not because the universe hates you or God, it's actually to bring you back into equilibrium. So these situations were coming, and until I realized that this is actually a loving act from the universe to bring me back into equilibrium, I was able to heal that shame, so I didn't need to attract these situations in my life anymore. And I'm starting to come to that place where it's evolving and I'm coming out of it from most of my life, these beautiful things that are happening. So I discern the old earth as somewhere like the idiot that we're all learning from. What does evolution look like? The monkey to the man. Well, what does that look like within regards to consciousness? From the amygdala to the executive function, to our higher self, to our telos. And that is ultimately that's what you channel. That's what, you went, boom. Okay, I'm now being led by that, not by the idiot who wants the yachts and living in this crazy system. Why do I want to be there? You know what? Risk reward, wife, this. Here I am. Now you're with the flow of life, and you're not seem to be reacting
so much
to
better.
it.
Oh my God!
You give yourself up. You give the burden up.
You have to give up your addiction to dopamine, because dopamine is the thing that makes you feel good now and terrible later.
Yes.
Right.
Pain and pleasure, and when you try to split the both of them, and you think you can have the pleasure without the pain, that's when you become addicted, because you think you're not going to get the pain. Yeah. And every time you run for the pleasure, you attract the pain, because the world, the universe has a law of duality. Conservation, right? The conservation law. You cannot escape them, left and right, minus positive.
Have you ever done DMT?
Yes.
So I haven't, but I have a theory on DMT, okay? And it's a theory.
Yeah.
You know how they say you meet these elves and they give you all the secrets of your pain and all this stuff, right? Now, could those be real entities that when we take that substance, it unlocks our ability to see them and connect with them in another plane of consciousness? Sure, absolutely, it could be. But it could also be the fact that all the answers that we have lie already in ourselves. And we are now allowed to really just see what we already know, but it manifests in the form of elves or whatever. But ultimately, we know the answer we always have. And it's the same thing in business. You know how many times I've consulted someone and they've said, Dan, our sales are down, right? I said, okay, well, were your sales up last month? And they say, yeah, they were up last month. They were great last month. I'm like, well, what did you do last month? Well, I did like a video a day on my Instagram. I released 2 YouTube videos a week, and we really hit our direct messages, and we got people on the phone, and we had a bunch of calls, and we closed people. I said, okay, well, how many videos are you putting on Instagram this month? Well, like 1 a week. How many YouTube videos are you releasing? Well, I kind of slowed down. I do like 1 every other week. Well, are you talking to people in your message box? Well, no, because, I'm like, and you're wondering why your sales are down. Oh, yeah, yeah. But they thought it was something completely different. And it's like, dude, see, I believe one of the best ways to sell and to educate is the Socratic method. Because if I tell you, nobody believes what you say, they believe what they say. So if I want to help you with something, I need to just ask you the right questions for you to
come to the answer
because you already know it. Like, for instance, when I gave you the example, the advice of holding like Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, you knew that deep down. You're like, we're in a community with a bunch of influencers. We need to do some sort of event. Well, you do. Duh. Okay. But you knew that.
Yeah.
I just started having this conversation and asked you questions, and it's like, once you ask the right questions, the answer is obvious. The answer is obvious. And so
it's obvious for you because you have literally the lenses through your experience to look at this and go, I see it,
right.
What this can actually be.
But do you know why I have that lens? It's because I spent most of my time asking questions rather than talking. And when you hear people, especially business owners, answer their own questions so many times, you know the answer. You just know the answer. You know the answer. Because it's like, okay, you have customers that are this type of people. What do they like to do? What do they like to talk about? What's valuable to them? Okay, it's this. Okay, so then you hold events talking about this. And what do they normally have to do to get that? Well, they normally have to pay thousands of dollars to be in a mastermind. Well, they don't have to. They just have to come and drink coffee. Like, the value proposition is incredible.
Yeah.
You know? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and then here, you want something else? Here's what you do.
Yeah.
You film every single one. You cut them up into reels. You put them on Instagram. And you have all these influencers. They're going to share their own... Bro.
It's a jackpot, baby.
Your whole marketing
ding,
strategy is done. And you don't even have to create the content. You just have to film it, cut it up, and boom, done.
Well, we've got the studio. I was just speaking to the guest earlier who was...
don't have a studio. Just film it in here.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
Much more
That's what I'm
authentic.
saying. Like, I said, like, we need to set something up where we have a community. I said it literally,
Yeah.
you know, the woman you just met, sit down here and have a mastermind. But you just brought the attention, of course, a business mastermind of influencers. And
if that's your customer, what is the number one thing? So I just met with William Brown and a few other guys. We talked for 3 hours. We filmed in my apartment that I'm renting here, and we filmed it for my YouTube channel. But at the end of it, we were all like, "Dude, this was like amazing. We learned all so much from we're all doing millions of dollars online, sharing stuff, solving each other's problems. Because everybody has a superpower and a kryptonite, and that superpower is the antidote to this person's kryptonite, and vice versa. So if you're good at something that I suck at, and I'm good at something that you suck at, and we sit down, the value there is incredible. Okay? It's incredible. And so it's the community, but it's the conversations and the exchange of ideas that makes the community. And you have the perfect...
Excited.
You literally have everything you need.
It's the hearts of Alberari.
Here's the great part. It doesn't cost you anything.
No.
It costs you a video guy.
If that, it's our barista. We're already paying.
Hey, man.
That's the Jew in me.
Okay. Because there are Americans watching this, I'm just going to opt out of even responding to that.
We've got a Muslim and a Jew sitting in the New Earth Cafe. I think we love that. And my father is, but then my mother was Christian. But at the end of the day, look, I'm a citizen of the world. Religion is, we are all of that religion. We're all of it. We are one another. It's just recognizing that there is no divide. You know,
Jew and a Muslim sitting
here.
I'm a white Muslim, but still,
yeah,
I count.
Exactly. I'm counting. Hey, I've got the Quran. I read the Quran last year. Yeah. I read the Bible, the Quran. I went to Bhagavad Gita. I just went on this sort of spiritual quest, regards to religious scriptures, and some really, incredible takeaways from a lot of them.
Yeah, I like it because even if I'm wrong, the way you live your life according to Islam, you'll have a good life.
Yeah.
Even let's just say it's all BS.
I
you
know
die
what
and
you mean. It's like
you still will live
a manual.
Yeah, exactly. It's a manual, very good manual. So I'm happy either way. I'm good.
Yeah. So. Well, this is kind of what I'm putting together at the moment between the old Earth and the new Earth. A manual. I'm giving myself a year. It's going to take a couple of years to put this together, but a manual. Soaking up all the things.
ChatGPT, bro.
Right. I'm keeping the originality, and then my higher self kicks in. Then I use a bit of ChatGPT to kind of, spice it up a little bit. It's
interesting you mentioned that because would you like to hear something interesting about AI and ChatGPT that I discovered?
Please.
So this is an interesting story as well. I had a company. It was a sales company.
Yeah.
And we had 18 employees. Most of the employees were moved over to that company from my original company, GetClients.com. And I found after a year that I just didn't like that business model. We were like managing sales reps for companies. I just didn't like it, and I wanted to go back to what I do at GetClients.com. And so I sold the company to my business partner. But when you sell a company, you sell the employees with it. Mm-hmm. You don't just take the employees. So I go back to GetClients.com, and I have like 2 employees. Like literally, like I had nobody.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, I have no copywriters. I have no marketers. I have nothing. What do I do? Well, obviously, ChatGPT and AI is the thing. I'm like, all right, well, let's see if I can use that. Because I don't have time to do it all myself.
That's true.
So I start using it. And I'm like, this sucks. It's terrible. If you say, write me a sales page, it's horrible. Because I found that what ChatGPT uses is what's called training data. It's preloaded default data, okay? And that's why it all sounds the same.
Yeah.
So I thought about it, and I was like, well, wait a minute. I know how to write great marketing. Like, that's what I do. So I started literally designing 10, 15-page prompts where I'm just like, okay, this is how you do this. Like literally just teaching it. And then I also realized whenever I've hired really great marketers, what makes a great marketer is not necessarily their ability to write great marketing, it's their ability to ask the right questions. I once paid $15,000 for a sales page. The person I hired asked me 33 questions that were incredible questions that I never thought to ask myself. And so after that experience, I started asking myself those questions whenever I would create marketing for my business or for someone else's business. And instantly it became like 100 times better. So what I did was we built our own AI software. It's powered by ChatGPT, just the engine. Mm. But the data is not training data. It's my 10 years of experience and my team spending millions of dollars on advertising, figuring out what's worked as the actual AI.
Wow.
And then, like, let's say you want to write a sales page, you want to write a YouTube video script, you want to make an Instagram reel script, you want to write an email. Well, our software asks you what the right questions. And then it uses this, and what it gives you is really great marketing that really doesn't seem like AI. And so we started building that, and I was just going to use it for myself, right, just for my team. But then I thought, wait a minute. So many people today, especially in the United States, they want to make money. But the problem is they have to learn skills, right? If I say you should start a marketing agency, you should charge businesses to do their marketing. Well, you got to now spend the next year, maybe 2 years, learning marketing. Mm-hmm. Or I thought, well, what if I made it where they could use our software and they could just have the software do it? It's like my brain AI version. They could go out and make money, and they'll learn marketing as they go, as they use it, but they can at least start making money now using the AI and helping businesses. So they're helping businesses grow, they're making money themselves, and everybody's happy. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about everybody wins, okay?
I love that.
Yeah.
Saving time. Because we're here to stand on the shoulders of giants, right? You've done your 10 years. It's like, hey, and now we've found a way to embody it into this program. Don't try to figure it out and spend all this time. Use the platform, literally as a platform to step on.
And when I did my 10 years, life was easier in America. It wasn't like super, super easy, but it was way easier than it is now. When I was able to afford my own apartment and an okay life delivering pizza. I delivered pizza for 7 years. You can't do that today. Mm. Nowhere in America can you deliver pizza and actually afford your own place, buy your own groceries. Like, it's really hard. And so it's like, yeah, you could go out and read 1 million books and learn these skills, or, man, let me just I have the power to do it. I put it in. Let me make it easy for you. And that's what I love doing.
So how does that work for somebody who's just hearing this now? How can they just jump on and go, okay, I want to do this. What do I do?
Well, we haven't launched it yet.
Okay.
We're going to launch it.
Teaser.
Yeah, teaser. We're going to launch the software and, of course, an educational program to go with it so you know how to get clients and service it. But I'll give you an example, right? The best client in the world to service is a business. Why? Because let's say you want to lose weight. You don't have to lose weight. Like, you can just choose to be the weight you're at. But if you're a business, you have to spend money. When I owned a restaurant, every month, I had to clean the vents. Otherwise, the place would burn down. So I had to hire somebody to come in and clean the vents. I had to buy liquor. I had to buy food. I had to have somebody service the AC. Being a business owner, you are required to continuously spend money. Otherwise, you're not a business owner, period. You're out of business. So to me, the best customer in the world is business owners because they have to buy.
It's true.
So now, see, normally when you sell to a customer, you have to convince them to buy, and then you have to convince them to buy from you. But when you sell to business owners, you don't have to convince them to buy. You only have to convince them to buy from you because they have to buy. So it's a 3-part pitch. What do people always want? They want it cheaper, faster, and with no risk. Let's just say for a moment that you're going to write an email a day for a business. They don't have time, right? And they also don't have the money because an email copywriter is going to average is $5,000 a month to write a daily email. A cheap copywriter who's $3,000 a month to write a daily email. If I come to you and I say, hey, I'm going to make this affordable for you. I'm going to write you a daily email for $500 a month. And so that's cheaper, faster, and you don't have to wait for it. In fact, I can give you 5 emails in the next 10 minutes. and you do it with no risk. By the way, you don't even have to pay me up front. Let me send you the 5 emails. If you like them, great, let's engage. If you don't like them, fine, have a nice day. So now you're doing it cheaper, faster, and with no risks. So they say, okay, you log into Artimo, which is the name of our software, ask the business owner a couple questions, spits out the 5 emails, hand it over to them. And if they like it, boom, you just made $500 a month. You do it again, okay? If they don't like it, you spent 5 minutes. We did an experiment on this.
That's an automated system for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
5 clients we reached out to. We did that pitch. 4 bought. 1 said no. Think about that. Let's just say you reached out to 10 businesses a day. 10. And 9 of them said no. And 1 of them said yes. And you charge $500 a month for daily emails. Imagine if every day you got 1 new client at $500 a month. And you just were doing this.
That's about the same amount of times your missus said no in 1 year.
Yeah, that's right. But you see what I'm saying? So my goal is, I believe the system is rigged against the average person, especially in the United States. I figured out how to beat the system. I learned the rules of the game to such a high level that I won. And so I wanted to not only teach people the rules of the game and help them win, but I want to make it easy for them. I want to give them the cheat codes. And I'll do the work. I'll go crazy with developers, and I'll do what I got to do. I'll put in the work to make it easy for them. And then eventually, they'll learn it at a higher level as well.
You know, it's beautiful to have this automated system in place because, wow, for you, happy days. And for somebody who comes in, if it means them able to go for an idea and they can make it become a reality without costing them a fortune, fantastic. Why? Why did you want to step into this world, and where is it leading you towards?
I'll tell you why. It's because I'm pissed off.
Okay.
Okay. I'll tell you why I'm pissed off. I purchased a bar and restaurant, years ago, and I learned marketing. I grew it. It was it was in a horrible spot of town. It was the worst bar in town, and I grew it over 14 months to be the #1 spot in town, and I sold it for a multi-6-figure profit. Now, in Florida, in the United States, in Florida, 95% of bars and restaurants fail in the first year. Everybody said I was crazy. And it was in a bad location. Location. But I used marketing, online marketing, to grow it. And I did such a good job that it succeeded. Well, when I sold it, I thought I had achieved the American dream. I was young. I was like in my early 20s. Well, mid-20s. But then America tried to take that dream away from me. I got a knock on the door one day from a very stern-looking man who handed me a letter. And that letter was from the IRS.
I knew you were going to say those 3 letters.
When I was doing my taxes, my accountant who was doing all my taxes died. Her family was extremely distraught, so I could not get access to all my paperwork, all my receipts. They just didn't even want to talk to me. And I tried to explain this to the IRS. And you know what they did? They said, every receipt you have, you say you bought liquor, you say you paid employees, you said you paid rent, you said you bought food. Nope, if you don't have a receipt, we're not counting it. Now, what kind of bar and restaurant doesn't buy food, doesn't buy liquor, doesn't have employees, doesn't pay the rent, doesn't have electric? And they said, you know what? Because you don't have the receipts, disallowed. You owe us $250,000. And I was basically ruined. On top of it, that 6-figure profit I made, I had invested it into something, and unfortunately, I lost the whole lot. So I was broke, got $250,000 letter from the IRS. Okay, and to me, that was America saying, hey, this is a land of opportunity. Oh, guess what? As soon as you take advantage of that opportunity, on a technicality, we're going to take it away from you. We're going to take that dream away from you. And I was pissed off. And so I did everything I could to get so good at business that no matter what, they could never take it away from me again. And after I did that, I started teaching other people how to do it because, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm really just pissed off. I want people to beat the system. I want them to beat the IRS, the American government. I want them to beat the game that is so rigged against them, because I beat it and I just want to stick it to them. I want to help people win because, excuse my French, but fuck them. Okay? You're going to pitch me on the greatest country in the world, the land of opportunity, and as soon as I actually take advantage of that opportunity, on a technicality, you're going to try to take it away from me. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that as many people as possible make as much money as possible, pay as little taxes as possible, and win, and make it so that you can't screw them. I mean, that's really my mission. It just comes from being pissed off.
All right, man. I love you. Thank you for Thank you for just sharing and being vulnerable. I really appreciate that. Is it okay if I explore this a little bit with you? Because I'd love to. Because it seems like we've got a gift happening right now. You can see that obviously this challenge that came in, the universe sent these agents of the universe, let's call them, the IRS. And they probably came in at a time when you felt probably your most proud, maybe when everything went through. So the universe, to break you in the infatuation of your pride, needed to balance out by bringing the shame, because pride is just you suppressing the shame. So it came along to balance you out, and you were like, what, this dignitation, you felt this sort of, self-righteousness, that they're wrongtious, their wrongtiousness. So there's this dynamic that suddenly played out, but needed to play out for a reason.
Oh, I'm grateful for it, because it turned me, it put my back against the wall and made me.
And it showed you who you truly are. And you went, okay, my life is not just about that moment where you've probably felt like, and if you stayed there, it probably may have ruined you. You were disbalanced for some reason, otherwise they wouldn't have come in, right? And it's usually when we feel our most proudest, something like that comes in to bring us back into equilibrium. But the story we tell ourselves from that moment is somehow that we have lost out on something, or that something was taken away from us. But as
it's taken away.
Because it's the illusion that something was taken away. Because energy can never be created nor destroyed. So what did you feel was taken away?
I felt I overcame. You know what it is? So I don't know if you know anything about the Enneagram.
Yes.
I'm an 8. So if you do me wrong, if I did something wrong and you punish me, I'm okay with that. But if you do an injustice against me or someone I love, dude, there's nothing that fires me up more, pisses me off.
I think I'm an 8 as well.
Yeah. So if somebody, some people, they just kind of roll with the punches.
Yeah.
But if somebody did something to you unjustly, right? You probably really don't like that, more so than other people.
Well, we've explored the court systems in Dubai when we first got here. That's another story on a huge scale. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Putting it in the book, because people might not even believe it.
But that's.
But I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm there. I think I'm an 8 because I'm resonating here.
And so, you got to understand, man. I delivered pizza for 7 years.
You busted your ass.
Busted my ass, and for me to go and actually do something. I mean, I had 3 girlfriends leave me, pack their bags, and said, "You're a loser. You're not going anywhere." Right? For me to go through all of that, start a business, sell that business, make multiple 6 figures, which at the time was a lot of money. It's still a lot of money.
It still is.
And then have the U.S. government say, hey, we know that it's obvious that you had expenses, but because your accountant died and you can't get the receipts, on a technicality, we're going to screw you. To me, is a nefarious. It's about the intent. That's nefarious. That is not meant to make. Oh, hey, you did it, man. You created jobs. You stimulated your local economy. You did the right thing. Oh, okay, you lost the receipts. Let's work it out. Let's obviously you had expense. Let's work it out. No, it was a nefarious, evil intent, and it made me so angry that I just was like, all right, well, I'm going to get so good. Clearly, you have to not only be okay at this, you have to be elite at this.
I love the fact that you've seen these guys. There's 2 things I'm looking at here, because one obviously has pissed you off, and in a way,
you see me break my emotional frame.
Yeah,
it affects me still. And I'm okay.
I know, but because it's a story you're telling yourself that somehow you're a victim, and these guys are the villains. And the only reason you see it in that way is because you feel that they've taken something from you. Yeah. Which, in a sense, is when you felt they took something away from you, what did you gain in that moment?
Well, I gained the drive and the willingness to do something great with my life. So I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for the experience. Getting that IRS letter was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I would have just been okay if that didn't happen. Are
you grateful for it?
I'm grateful for
it,
but I'm not grateful to them.
Yeah, but
because that was not their intention.
Well, they are only operating based on the universal law. Because if you're infatuated or you have pride, the universe is going to send somebody in some form of an energy exchange to bring you back into equilibrium. They just happen to show up in your door.
I'll credit the universe. I'm not crediting them.
Well, whoever it is.
But baby steps.
But, you know, I love that. So I get it. But if it takes out the poison, because if you're pissed off, it means you're holding something within yourself and you're about health, right?
Yeah.
So if you're pissed off, that can create and materialize, and manifest itself in potentially somewhere in your body because you're pissed. And that can create issues, say, in your bladder. If you have bladder issues or anything like this, I don't know, but I'm just saying
Depends on if I have another cup.
You have another copy. We'll just, we'll get you a nappy, right? And so when that shows up, you're pissed off at something that actually happened to be the best day of your life. And it's those experiences that you say, you know what? I'm grateful that happened. Why would I want to take that experience from somebody else? Because if that was my best experience, then why shouldn't somebody else have that experience? At the end of the day, there was a loving act. And it may seem disastrous, but you said it yourself, that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
And that's the wisdom, the hindsight, to not only just see it from then, but to see life happening in that moment as it's happening. So if you knew this, the universal laws are working, and that happened, you think to yourself, well, I know the universal laws, I must have been proud, and I didn't self-regulate. Yeah. And because of that, this IRS thing came in. Okay, so I now know that it's bringing me back into equilibrium. But at a time when you're emotional and you've got the 7 years and the girlfriends and everything else that's happened, feels like something's taken away. It's the hurt really from before. It's not really them because they're just doing what they're doing. The pain happened beforehand. Maybe it's from the childhood. Maybe because authority is usually a representation of our parents.
Sure.
So, was your father a pretty tough guy on you growing up?
No, my dad was like super playful. He wasn't strict with me at all. Not even at all. My mother was very strict. If I got an A-, I was grounded.
Okay, so it's the mother form. Yeah. That's how it came in. That's so. Do you have a good relationship with your mother?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm from Florida. Nobody has a great relationship with their mother.
Fair enough. Okay. I don't know about that.
For given the circumstances of where I grew up, yeah, it's pretty good.
But she was your challenge, right? She was your.
Yeah, my dad was easier because my dad was just a fun-loving guy, and he was. And you resonate more with your dad because you're a man. He's a man. My mom is a I'll tell you this. I got my work ethic from my mom. So obviously, I don't resonate with her on certain things as much as I do my dad, but she gave me a greater gift because
she challenged you.
She challenged me. She taught me. Yeah. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Most people don't grow up where your mom grounds you for 2 weeks if you get an A-. Okay. They don't have that experience. And so you mentioned that why would I want to take the struggle away from somebody else? It's because I know that struggle would break most people. Look, if I teach you, and look, most people who teach people how to make money, grow a business, they want to make it all rose petals. And I'll be honest with you, even if I make it as easy as possible on you, you're still going to struggle. There's still going to be things that happen. You're still going to have days where you think, should I be doing this? Nobody said yes today. I'm a piece of crap. Blah, blah, blah. You're going to feel like that. You're going to have enough struggle just naturally. There's no reason for me to not do everything in my power if I have that power to make it as easy on you as possible.
My man, you're preaching to the choir. I love that. Yeah. And I want to see it just from another angle here because this is what I do, right? I'm just seeing it from the perspective
I agree with you.
Because your mum, though, it's hard to love those who challenge you the most. But they're more necessary. You love them later because you go, thank you. You thank your mum. But if there's some unresolved stuff with your mother because of how she challenged you, because the universe said, look, here's your mum, needs to challenge you. Here's your dad who supports you. If you just had your dad and you were overly supported, you'd become overly dependent. Yeah. But your mum was there to balance you out, to help you create that independence.
The intent on both my mother, my dad didn't intend to make me lazy. He intended to make me happy. My mom didn't intend to make me unhappy. She intended to make me strong, which is weird because it's normally the other way around. And so I realized later in life, their intent was good.
They're doing the best they can, but you were born into what your fingerprint. You were destined. The stars aligned for you to show up the way you needed to come to where you are now, and as you still go on in your journey. So there you are. You got this perfect synchronicity as everybody does until they realize it. But most people are in the victim mindset. They don't realize actually that the life they have is perfect in the way it is. When they realize the universal laws at play, it's like, wow, there is love. There is that intent always. So when you came from that place and then you met the IRS and then obviously that support and challenge showed up, the reason I say it is a loving act to challenge you on that story, because when you're challenged, you are growing. Mm-hmm. But when you have too much support, if I supported your story, you'd be going into entropy. Right. You'd be degrading. And I love people around me so much that I challenge everybody because I want them to grow, but in the most loving way I possibly can. Because if you hold on to that story, it doesn't need to be the fuel to drive you because you're already guided by your higher self. Right. But it's your idea that
I think it can be the spark, though.
It's the spark, but you notice that you already know it, but you don't need it to linger, that there's something to fight anymore. Because, you know, it was a loving act. It just showed up in the form that it felt like it wasn't at the time, just as with children.
I do quite enjoy seeing someone that, because here's the thing. I love seeing someone win that's not supposed to win, because I was the person
the underdog.
Wasn't the underdog. I was the person that wasn't supposed to win.
Mm.
And look, when you're the underdog and you win, you only get that feeling once. Okay? You only get the feeling once. But when you can help other people win, you get it again.
We need to change this one as well? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What is going on? The battery is going 20 minutes sooner than usual.
It could be heat. It could be...
I think it's just your energy, my man.
Maybe,
it's just like...
Hopefully this is... I know that you're picky on who you have on the show, so I hope this is...
My man, it's just... You know what? Whoever's meant to be here is meant to be here.
Yeah.
I'm open to whomever is coming on, and you're a really awesome dude, and what you're sharing right now is a wealth of knowledge, man. I mean, already the ideas that are flowing, and no wonder you're successful in doing what you do. Thanks, dude.
Listen, I didn't used to be like this. I was a Florida trash bag.
My man, I was a London trash bag. Get in.
Nice.
So yeah. I hear you, man, but this is the diversity. This is how we became, you know, what we became, because we came out from the idiot self. Yeah. And we jumped into our higher self, but it was through those challenges that we really... Yeah. But I noticed that the stuff I used to carry in the fights and everything else, and I'm really releasing it more and more, I've had to come back to those moments that I found just, I couldn't even look at them. Like, how was that a gift?
Yeah.
And I look at the support. At the moment I was challenged, I go, okay, let's look at that moment. Where did the support come in? Wow. Everything is always in synchronicity.
Do you find that being here has allowed you to be a better version of yourself?
You know what? I think the environment has a lot to play with it.
It does.
I think the fact, it feels, when I'm reading the religious books, the fact that we're in the wilderness, this is, Al-Barawi means the wilderness, and it comes up in, I think, the Quran and the Bible, and the fact, you know, the walks here and the new earth, and there's talking, and the seventh heaven, this building is called. A lot of things are linking. So I'm seeing a lot of symbolism to why we're here in this place right now that is within the religious scriptures, minus the hair, you know what I mean? But I'm seeing it all. I'm starting to see the synchronicities of the old and coming into where we are now, and why this podcast is happening and why these certain things are getting broadcasted. You know, there's a sense of empowerment that, you know, to improve longevity of life is to do with the communities that come together. And I think that's what resonates with you, that maybe the religion aspect, because it's all about longevity, the community aspect.
You know what it is? You know why I like Dubai better than the United States? There was a world-class violinist who was visiting New York to play a big theater. And the night before his performance, he went to the New York subway and he busked. He opened his violin case and he played for 4 hours. And in 4 hours, 4 people stopped. One person gave him $20, and like, I think one person might have clapped.
Yeah.
The next night, he plays at this grand theater. 1,000 people attend. They each pay $100, and he gets a standing ovation. And the principle here is that even if you're an extraordinary person, you can only thrive in an extraordinary environment. And I will tell you this, when I'm in the United States, there is so much negativity, there is so much toxicity, there is so much arguing over, I mean, we make up problems every week, right? And I find myself just feeling negative. I don't treat my wife and child as good, my mother, friends, there's this...
heavy energy that's like...
There's this
I hear
acid tongue that comes out. The patience. when I got here, I noticed that nobody argues about virtually anything, at least compared to the United States. Everybody's overwhelmingly positive, goal-oriented, mission-oriented. You're not making up problems here and arguing over them. You're not saying, oh, well, you're not creating oppression that doesn't exist. You're just living life. And when you're around positive people and you're around that energy, you become a better person. I've noticed that I've treated the people in my life better even since I've been here. And we live in Costa Rica right now, and so, it's like America, it's like, ugh. And then Costa Rica, it's like, yeah, I feel better here. People are nicer here. But Dubai?
Oh, the standards are
I feel like I'm
extremely...
the best version of myself here.
Yeah.
And it's sad because I'm from the United States. I wish I could say that. But it's so toxic over there right now. I can't.
My man, we went to visit Miami a couple of years ago. LA, we just came back from. There is this heaviness going on. Yeah. And even England and even in Europe, there is a sense of this burden of somehow the past is catching up with people. And they've reached their capacity of where they can grow, where people are willing to work with each other. Here, because it's new and everybody's sort of figuring stuff out, we're helping each other. If you're in London, I don't know if this would happen, or if I was in America, this would happen.
No, it'd be very ego-based.
Yeah, so everybody's in competition with each other because there's lack. And most people are living in scarcity. But here there is a certain level of abundance. You're absolutely, correct on that there is a feeling of just safety, that we're not living in the amygdala anymore. We're now moving into the higher self, which makes me want to go into the idea of what you've moved into and why you become successful. To then be grateful for the moment that happened, even with the IRS, and go, thank you, because it's led me to Dubai. So actually, I love you, Mr. IRS man, because if you didn't come into my life, I don't think I would have my wife and child and be living in Dubai now.
True.
So it's appreciating that, but it doesn't mean that the others shouldn't win at the game, in the sense of, I appreciate it, but maybe you don't need to have the IRS coming into your door and having that. Yes, it's a beautiful experience, right? But not everybody needs to go through that. I've done it for you.
Right.
To learn from it.
You will go through struggles.
And you'll go through your struggles.
But they're going to be a lot less.
But exactly. They're going to be your own unique struggles that you're going to need to get you to where you need to get to. But what are we actually all doing here, really? You are leading what you've done. Everybody's becoming the best at what they do in order to be what? A platform for other people. But then again, moving towards what again? Because if it's for the sake of money, we look at America and we look at Europe. These people are about profit over people. But what about the purpose behind it? Because you know what happens if you have money without purpose leads to debauchery. So not everybody's religious. Not everybody's going to go that way. And I think what I'm trying to discover with the Manual of the New Earth is that what is it all about that we have it? Because I want to raise a level of consciousness. Not me, my higher self. Alex is a bit of a schmuck sometimes. But the higher self seems to know what it's doing. I'm just getting out of the way. People like you, that you seem to like, you just know when your industry what it is, but leading towards what? Now, it's not about countries anymore, as it used to be with Napoleon, all these wars. I'm reading The Art of War, We're transcending and closing down the boundaries because everything's so easy to get to now. So how do we expand our consciousness and connect us all, that we can communicate all around the world as a whole, as a country, as the new earth? You know what I'm saying? That we help people become purposeful in their lives towards something for the next generation. It's not about making money and just, because we're moving now away from scarcity into purpose now, because that's what scares people. They stay in the level of scarcity because it gives them purpose, because then they know what they're doing, trying to survive. But if you're not trying to survive anymore, then you're kind of in this sort of limbo land, like, well, what do I do? Scary in a way, because then you suddenly realize the void within yourself. Until you touch your spirit, it's a huge void, and that's why we try to fill it with yachts and women and all this stuff. I've been there, minus the yacht. So
it's not that great.
I
mean, it's pretty great until you get the bill.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Then it's like...
But you see what I'm saying? And you're like, because you're trying to get the pleasure without the pain, and you're just stuck in this game of duality for no purpose at all, because you have money, and you're just like, what am I doing it for? Then you come to that place where you go, there is a soul, there is a spirit that is bigger than me. So it's not about just surviving anymore. We've been doing that for 4 billion years, and it's in our genome. No wonder we're like this. Now we're about to step into this new evolution. What do we do with it? And we're at the cusp here, going from the survival into the purpose. What does that all mean? What are we helping people go towards? Because you could help somebody and think you're helping them, they've suddenly become really rich, but then they got the debauchery business going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, because you're pissed off and you attract those people that are pissed off, and then they have to go through that pain instead. When rather it's like, you know what, I'm in a place of gratitude and say love for everything. So that whoever comes along in your sphere, because you have such an impact, that they can come and go, well, I appreciate it. What is it leading me towards? Because they're going to need to know what the responsibility of what they're going to do with money. Because if they're successful as you know you can make them, what are they going to be when they do? And if they don't understand the purpose and what, say, the new earth, I use that because we're in it. If they're not aligned to that, then they're going to lead themselves down the path, which is, polygamists and, all that sort of stuff in the Quran, right? They get into that place. So how do you steer people in a direction where they can go into the new earth in their higher purpose and not just escape from their life with money?
Well, I mean, you do need money to live. Like you need a little bit.
No, absolutely.
But I find that when you chase the money, you chase it instead of just letting it come to you. And I believe, honestly, that one of the most critical things is self-awareness. I would say that in my, I tell this story a lot. I drink a lot of almond milk because I don't do dairy, and I drink protein shakes a lot. And so I come home one day, and there's this huge just jug of almond milk on the counter. And I say to my wife, I'm like, what's this? And she goes, do you know what that is? And I'm like, I guess it's almond milk. And she gets this real angry look on her face. Yeah. And she runs over to the refrigerator, and she flings the door open, and she grabs a carton of store-bought almond milk. She says, do you know what this is? And I said, almond milk? And she goes, yeah, and it costs $6 a carton, and you're ingesting all these horrible additives, probably giving yourself cancer. And I went, what do you want me to do about it, And then she walks back over to the big carafe, and she says, just huge thing of almond milk, which I did not understand.
Drink it.
She grabs this black contraption. She says, do you know what this is? And I said, I got nothing. I don't know what that is. She says, this is a homemade almond milk maker. It takes a little handful of almonds to make this big jug. So instead of spending $6 on a carton, you can make it for 25 cents, and it's pure almonds and water, no gunky stuff. And it was at that moment I realized my wife was right. I was wasting $200 a month on almond milk because I was drinking a lot of it, and I was ingesting all this horrible thing. But for one simple reason, I simply did not know you could make homemade almond milk. And it makes me think it's the things in life.
Yeah, it made me laugh.
The pain, the suffering, the struggle. It all comes from the things that we simply do not know. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, these are things like how to save money on taxes, how to get more clients, how to grow your business, how to get healthy. If you knew how to do it, you could do it, and it would remove a lot of pain and suffering, but it's also what you don't know about yourself. I did not know when I was younger that I was basically a shitbag. I was mean to people because I grew up in an environment that was mean to people. And I would snap, and I would have these sort of toxic reactions. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that person cut me off in traffic. They deserve to get yelled at, right? Mm-hmm. And I just wouldn't even think about it. But when you have this new level of self-awareness where you're like, wait a second, I don't want to be like that. I'm being reactionary. That person probably had a bad day. They didn't mean to do that. Now we're just in this tennis ball match of, I didn't mean to do that. Mm-hmm. And we're treating each other completely terribly. And we're not really meaning to. We're just accepting a current version of ourselves. We're not questioning it. We're not trying to make it better. We're just going through the motions because that's what everybody does, because that's the way things are always done. And I'll tell you this, I believe tradition is simply peer pressure from dead people. And if you don't question it and you don't go, well, why? Do I have to be like this? Do I have to scream at a guy that cut him off in traffic? Do I, and I started thinking about it, and I had situations where someone was extremely mean to me, and I would just be like, hey man, I get it. I've had a shit day too. I would react exactly how you would react right now. And you know what? Sometimes,
discharge.
They discharge. Now, do I do that every time? No, because sometimes you just catch me at a bad moment and I'm like, But when I achieve that level of self-awareness, I go, oh, I know what's happening here. And it's almost like you get it's like doing DMT and you see things you can't normally see. You see new things. You're like, oh, something happened to you today. Your hormones and your emotions are doing something biologically, and you weren't yourself at that moment. And I recognize that, versus I'm just going to react, and you're going to react, and I'm going to react, and blah, blah, blah. And to me, that's a very primitive way of living, and I don't want to live as the lowest version of myself.
That's beautiful, man. Because living in the amygdala and reacting like this takes us away from our objective.
Yeah, and it's very hard for me. I'm not going to lie to you. Growing up in Florida, very hard. And since I hear you. Being in Costa Rica helped, but being in Dubai, man, it's like you can't be mean to people here. You feel like a total dick.
Well, you're not even allowed to be. You can't even do road rage.
I love that.
Somebody cuts you off or something. I mean, it does happen, You can't. You have to if you do something, you can be arrested for it.
You have to keep.
So you just have
together.
to kind of keep it cool, and which helps.
Yeah, it does.
Which, I mean, it says. I mean, you don't let it out. Well, you can just shout to yourself in the car.
I had a cab driver tried to drop me off in the wrong location. I very calmly said, "Listen, dude, you have to you got to drop me off in the right location. Period. I'm not going to get out of the car until you take me to my hotel. Let's just leave it at that." And that was as far as I went. Whereas in the United States, I'd be like,
it's true.
And everybody would just accept that as normal.
Because that's exactly, because that is the norm.
That is the norm.
And you, of course, just go with what's normal. And what you said before about, dead people, what did you say, dead people?
Tradition is simply peer pressure from dead people.
And you know what, that passes on to our parents, as we know, in our ancestral line. So if anybody's sort of living their life, and you can ask them, is your mum and your dad your mentor? And they're going to go, no. So why are you
acting like that?
Why are you acting as if they are your mentor? So it's sort of snapping out of it and going, well, that's not how I want to be. Yes, I appreciate the lessons, but that's not the life I want to live. So if I keep on behaving that way, I'm going to keep attracting the life that they lived. And then we don't learn from it.
But you don't want to blame them either because they learned it from
exactly.
their parents.
Everybody's doing the best they can.
One day, some caveman threw a rock at another caveman, and he went, "Huh," and it just kept going. Exactly.
That is evolution, I think, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share? Because I want to just ask one question before we.
No, I think
because I could keep on doing this.
Yeah, I know.
To be fair.
I know. My bladder's like, no.
Yeah, mine too. You know what? No, so
no.
we keep on going here.
This is the actual way we make the water. Yeah.
If your life was a movie, what would it be?
A movie that exists currently?
No, it can be however genre. How would you describe your life as a movie? And if you need to compare it to a movie that inspires you, then great.
It would probably be. Oh, that's a great question. It'd probably be a very sad movie that ended well, but not in the way that you would expect the hero. Like, the hero wants something, and he doesn't get it, but the fact that he doesn't get it gives him something so much infinitely greater than what he wanted. And I think it would be, honestly, your classic hero's journey. It would be, you start out on a quest to achieve something because something happened that put you on that quest. You experience incredible trials and tribulations. You were aiming for a goal, and then by the time you got to the goal, you realized that is not the goal you wanted at all, and it was something else. And by simply going through that, you achieved it. And what you really ended up with was transforming into a completely different person, not simply achieving something. And that is the true achievement. That's what my life would be.
That's beautiful, man. I have a feeling it's not the last time we're going to do a podcast, and I have a feeling you might be running some stuff over there with the community.
Depends on if it takes a half an hour to get out.
Well, if you're living here, it won't take long at all.
Yeah. I love the pitch. Never
ABC,
take
baby.
No for an answer, right?
Well, you just showed me that on this podcast and many other people. Yeah. So, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate you being on it.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Awesome. Absolutely. It was great. One of the best ones I've ever been on.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Well, you know, this is authentic. It's natural. It's about
better,
flowing.
Most of the time, it's like, tell us how you got started, and it's like, man, this is so much better.
You know, I just want to, and that's why I wanted to challenge some of the story as well, because you know where you were before and coming to that place of loving that moment, even the IRS kind of fucking Bill, like loving that guy.
I'd like to get to a place where it's less about how I want to beat something and more, but you know, I'm aware of it.
Yeah, exactly. And you are somebody who's looking to grow and you're expanding. And the fact you're coming to Dubai, because the thing about Dubai, which really tests people, and it's not really the end now, is it? Is that people are big fishes in their ponds around the world, and they come to Dubai and they realize they're a small fish in a very large pond.
I love
and
that.
Dubai challenges people's egos because suddenly you have, who's the biggest one? Who's this? Who's that? And that's what freaks people out.
Well, I won't have that problem because I'm from St. Pete. And
I don't even know what that means, but you tell me.
Okay, Miami is that. That's a Miami thing. My watch is nicer than yours.
I see.
My car is better than yours. St. Pete is like, hey, I've got a friend who's rich and I've got a friend who's poor, and we're all chilling and we wear sandals to a 5-star restaurant, and you know, we're just chill. So I grew up in more of that environment, not so showy, and so I don't feel the need. I like the fact that I'm not the smartest guy in the room here, because if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That's true.
And I just am here to receive. I'm not here to compete, you know? And I think that has been the biggest lesson I've learned is, and because I even had that in business, you want to compete, you want to make the most money, the most money, the most money. And I've learned that it's not about that, man. You know, it's not about that. It's about your ability to receive. I can learn, you know, I remember being in a room where, you know, one guy was doing $3 million a month. Maybe I was doing $1 million at that time a month, and another guy was doing 80 grand a month. And I learned so much from the guy doing 80. And most people, what are you going to learn from him? It's like a lot, because maybe there's just a problem he solved in his business that I just don't know how to solve. It doesn't matter how much money.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Like maybe he hired somebody and he's making 80 grand a month, and he doesn't know, or he doesn't do anything. And this other guy over here is making $1 million a month, but his life sucks because he's just
exactly.
You know, what can I learn from him, and then apply that to my level of scale? You know, you got to be able to receive, not compete.
I love that. I don't think you're gonna. When I mentioned the whole thing about coming to Dubai, I knew that you're not having that situation because you're here with your wife and you're looking to grow businesses.
Yeah.
You're realizing the potential. You know, there is that. We've had people come here, and Dubai either keeps you or spits you out. But for us, it was a baptism of fire, I'm telling you, when we first came here. So, you know, it was an interesting experience, but my God, I'll be thankful for it. But the last thing I just wanted to mention, because you didn't mention it, I mentioned it on the questions, AI generated. What are the seven areas of life? Because you said, well, what is that? You know, this is a coaching tool, right? 7 areas of life: business and career. You got your health, of course. You got the social and your friends. You got your mental. You've got your spirituality, and there's 2 others that's completely lost. Should they do your magic? Put it on there. So the point is that when you create your will, and I remember going to Tony Robbins' UPW in 2016, and there's your will of life. And you connect where you think you are in each area of life. And it creates a will, right? And will means, wealth is what will means. So it's better to have your will sort of in a similar way. And in 2016, I remember drawing my will, and I literally drew a toxic waste sign. I was like, my God, no wonder my life is what it is when you can actually see it. So that's the 7 areas of life, and how important it is. Like you said, that guy's business, you know, maybe he's owning 80,000, but the rest of his life, the other 6 areas are actually doing well. One of the areas being money, obviously. So, and then one person making, say, $1 million.
Yeah. The
other areas of his life are just toxic.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so
if there's somebody who's broke but they have a great marriage, I want to learn from that guy.
Exactly.
You know?
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We get, especially in the West, we get too caught up in status and competition. Because most people, they either do something for love or status. Almost every action you take is because you love someone, or you love yourself, or it's rooted in love, or it's rooted in status. You want to look good, you know? And it can be the same action. You can buy a Ferrari because you want to have high status, or you can buy a Ferrari because your kid loves Ferraris, he has the little toy cars, and you just want to take his little ass to school every day in a Ferrari.
And give him that experience, yeah.
And a lot of times it's both.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That's a beautiful way to end it. Otherwise, we can end it, start. My man, again, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, man. Absolute pleasure. We'll get your movie trailer out shortly.
We vibe when you subscribe.